Now, yeah. Now the show is about to start, ladies and gentlemen. Now the show is about to start. It's about to start. Oh yeah, ladies. About to start. Yeah. Come on and join the V and Noor show. That's the girl you need to know. The V and Noor show. That's the girl you need to know.
Giving you celebrity gossip, what's going on in the news. She'll talk about beauty, interview your favorite celebs too. Get ready,
Get ready,
get ready,
get ready,
get ready.
come on and join the Feeling No Show. That's the girl you need to know. The Feeling No Show. That's the girl you need to know. Feeling No, Feeling No.
Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back to the show. Welcome to the V. Lenore Show. I'm your host, V. Lenore, and we are back for another show, but I'm not back alone, okay? I am back with my girls. They are back again, 2 wives, 1 ex, and we've got an additional guest on today, all right? So without further ado, actually, before I bring them up, hold on 1 second.
Welcome back to the show. Hey, everyone. Great to be here.
Yeah.
We have so much to talk about today.
I know. Look, did y'all see my ponytail? Why does AI not want to accept the fact that I don't have a ponytail? Why can't I just be a woman with short hair?
What the horse's ass mane was that?
I can't see myself.
Welcome back to the show. Hey, everyone. Great to be here.
Yeah.
We have so much to talk about today.
What you say?
I said you got
Well,
a
the funny thing about AI is that it actually gives everybody their own different look. It's like
Yeah, exactly. Now
AI
look, I tried to
is
give.
optimistic. It's what it seems like to me. I'm not dogging you, AI Clay Claude. Don't get mad at me. But it seems like you're kind of misogynistic.
Well, look. I really wanted to try and get rid of my ponytail, and so this is what happened when I tried to get rid of the ponytail. Look what happened.
About today. And that's why I think this color is perfect for the summer lineup. Wait, what just happened? Wow, I guess the ponytail is gone. About today.
Huh?
But I want to know is how come the voiceover is the same for everybody's character? It's like very strange. Everybody has the same voice.
I know. It's
You
crazy.
would think AI was smarter than that. It would actually learn to, hey, a little subterfuge might work. Throw me off guard just a little bit. Is it really AI? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't.
Oh my gosh. Can you guys see me?
Yeah, you can't see yourself, Adria.
We can see
That's
you.
fine. Okay. Long as
Oh
I-
my gosh, I'm sorry.
But
You
let me,
What, Marla? What?
no. I was just going to talk to my girls right quick. Just give me 1 quick second.
Why are you holding my chest while you say my girls?
Because you know,
But you're talking to me.
but I'm saying hold it because
Right.
this is how you hold up. Here's the thing.
What?
What?
1 wife, 1 ex. I'm going to just say that, Val, I appreciate you entertaining me in particular with the new intro. But I'm thinking I was kind of really still digging into the first intro that was V. Lenore. So before we
I thought that we just throw it right on out there. You know what I'm saying? Since you had things to say about the AI, I thought you should get a feel for what this experience is like. That's all.
Honey, do you like me like that? Do you like me like that?
That threw me for a loop. I was like, what?
Well, I would say yes or no. It doesn't really say because I'm not sure what AI is going to do to me. So
I know, right?
Oh, you worry about yourself.
clearly, I think I need to be.
Look, I was dying. Native and I were out here playing with it because I said, "Oh my God!" Because I asked him, I said, "Can't you get rid of my ponytail?" And he was like, "No." He was like, "Well, try this." And when I did it,
your ponytail though, that is
because it does not want to. It likes to make assumptions, and so it assumes that I don't have short hair. Like short hair just wouldn't be acceptable, I guess.
He has to be able to
Well,
flip
the
it.
funny thing is, Adrian, it actually enhanced your hairdo a little bit as well. Your hair is a lot shorter than AI thought it should be. Kind of gave you a little feathered look, kind of in between.
like a
Well,
little
no, that's
curl.
how it was. That was she had it curled like that day.
It did.
To the hairdresser, I see what you do with your new growth there.
Well, anyway, Marla, who's this man?
A new great job. So
All right, let me just stop all this foolishness right now. Let's just get to why we're here, okay?
Who's that man with you?
So
Could you tell the people?
Listen, one wife, one ex. You know who this is, but for the world, everybody who's tuning in, this is David Thomas.
Who is?
Well, he says we're married. I have not seen the official paperwork front and back, but wait, right? Okay, there's a ring. Yeah, there's a ring. Here's the ring. That is proof, but he could put this on anyway. Bottom line is,
I could put it on anyone. It's true.
But you're right. But you put it on me. Why? Why?
You tell me why.
You tell me. Bottom line is, this is my husband, Dave. Dave and I have been married for 38 years. We share a family. We share grandkids. We share friendships with both of you.
Yes.
And also, Dave shares music with the world. And so David is the second tenor, an original member of the a cappella sextet, the acclaimed a cappella sextet, 10-time Grammy winners, Take Six. And so therefore it's weird for me to go through this whole resume as if, because what I know
We're
is
kind of struggling.
She ought to have this thing down. After 88 years of marriage, I don't understand.
no, that's because I can't talk about the things that are on my resume list, which never mind. So right, so there's things that we met in second grade, and then there was high school, and then there was college where things really got popping. Hello. Anyway, Dave and I got married when I was 20. He was 22, and he has been on an amazing ride, to be honest, as a musician. But this show invited Dave because this is honestly the toughest things to be truthful. Now, here's where I earned my ponytail from AI.
Yes, you did.
I get serious right now. Here goes.
Well, hold on. Before we go there, let me give Dave his flowers. Welcome to the show, the one and only living legend, Dave Thomas of
It's not
Texas.
the one and only. There's all of them there.
He's only one Dave Thomas.
That's it.
That is true.
He's only one of them.
Thank you.
And
Val.
Take Six at that.
Thank you, Val and Adria, and Marla for the attempted introduction. I appreciate that. It took a village. I appreciate that.
Took a-
Seemed
Yeah,
like
really.
I was giving more depth to your
Yeah.
to your situation. I almost went into the bedroom. You would appreciate that.
I would appreciate really going into the bedroom.
afterwards.
Yeah, hello.
All right, and we're back.
All right.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Please introduce the way. I would love for you to. I was gonna roll right into why we're here, and also giving Dave additional flowers. Which, to be honest, the flower bed I appreciate most, and the flower bed I appreciate most in my marriage on a serious tip is, despite what the world appreciates, which is valid and just for his musicianship and what they've accomplished in their career, what I appreciate most is the man that David is and has been to our family and especially our children. And everybody knows at this point we've had some challenges. And so we're not, I'm it's really important for me to be sure that people understand that I don't want anyone ever caught up in what you think it is. There's this glam thing. And in reality, there's a real thing, and it's called family. And we've been in the trenches in love, life, and forgiveness and growth for 38 years.
Yeah.
And he's right here with me at all times. And I appreciate that.
No, look, let me say this. Marriage, a lot of people don't stay married for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. You guys have been together for 38 years and going strong. And so that's just folks that are in the real world living, right? But in the entertainment world,
We are dinosaurs.
it's even more foreign than anything, So the fact that you all have withstood all of that is amazing. But every family has challenges. Go ahead and share how you would like to sort of walk into this conversation, Marla.
So I want to first share the point, and this is super important, I think, first, why we are transparent. And I'm the leader of transparency, but David is now as well, as we've gone through some of the most the most trials and tribulations in our family with our kids, why we are now both on the same page. We realized that everybody struggles with something, and so it's transparency in its responsible honesty that helps with understanding and information and transformation. That's how it works. And so having our children who grew into adults, who we later found out had issues that were beyond just, the typical rebellion and all the things that everybody wants to say. That, and unfortunately, but fortunately, and I mean that, it played out in public. And it played out in public because I started to understand that God allowed, He doesn't intend these things, but He allowed our pain to create an avenue for purpose. So our pain gave way to a purpose because we love hard. We love thoroughly. We're not the only ones. So for me, that's the big thing. The big thing is, it's not just, poor me, or I'm one mother that is now trying to reach out to a million others who love equally as I do, and I may have a different opportunity to speak to somebody's heart or to share our experience in truth, in hopes to transform somebody else.
Yeah, and so people don't know that or think that they're alone,
Right.
or that because people live a certain lifestyle or they run in certain circles or they have certain experiences or accomplishments that somehow makes them exempt from having real challenges where family is concerned, where health is concerned, or whatever. So, okay. Well, with that said, so recently you guys were guests on a special show called Dirty Rotten Scandals that aired on E Entertainment. And it was a two-part special, and you guys were able to share your experience on the Dr. Phil show. Two shows were focused on the Dr. Phil show and guests who went on there and didn't have such great experiences. Learned a lot from, look, I learned a lot watching it, and I knew when you guys were on there. I remember that. I talked to Marla before she went, and I've talked to you after that. So I had an idea, but to hear other families have similar gripes about their experience as you all did was really enlightening. It really hit different at that point. So with that said, let's talk about that. Adria, did you have a chance to see the show?
I did. I was able to watch it, and it was very shocking for me, just some of the other stories. And for me personally, it was very hard because, I know DJ, love DJ, personal level. And so to see, it was hard for me.
Yeah.
I can't, it was, I've known DJ, you know what I mean? And I kind of, why do I get teary-eyed? It was a little emotional for me to see him. And when Marla explained the state that he was when he was on the show, I was like, okay, I know this DJ. You know what I mean? I've seen this DJ, but it was hard. It was hard. And to hear the stories, I was sad. It made me sad because people flew in.
Mm,
That's the part that people flew into California seeking help.
mm-hmm.
That's
Mm-hmm.
the part. And to hear the stories and the similarities and the places, and because it was in Malibu,
Mm,
right?
mm-hmm.
So it
Mm-hmm.
must be this great facility. And I remember that. I remember that incident. I remember that. So it was interesting to hear how everything was playing out. So it was hard for me. I'm not even gonna lie, it was really hard to watch.
So that people have a clear understanding. So DJ has a mental health diagnosis of bipolar and schizophrenia. Is that correct?
Bipolar 1 and schizoaffective disorder.
Okay, what's the
And
difference?
to be
Explain that.
clear, his initial diagnosis was just bipolar 1.
Okay.
And you can actually have manic episodes when you have bipolar 1 that seem similar to schizophrenia. So a lot of times you'll have people with a bipolar 1 and a schizoaffective disorder that kind of go hand in hand, because when you start to get to any type of hallucination, whether it be auditory or visual, then they tend to group that in with the family of schizophrenia, whether it be schizophrenia, schizoaffective disorder, or
Psychotic feature is
yes.
also one.
So those things actually kind of always tend to go with the schizophrenia-based diagnosis. The issue is that you can have manic episodes where you can be so over the top that your brain starts to produce stimuli that actually isn't real, and those become either auditory or visual hallucinations as well. So and again, diagnosis for those of us who are really go deep into the mental health space and have dealt with it personally, the diagnosis is really just for medication. It's the therapy
To
and
give the right type of treatment.
treatment that counts. You
Okay.
need a diagnosis to get certain treatments and to get the right treatment. So I'm not saying that a diagnosis isn't important, but
Sure.
diagnosis isn't the focus when it comes to actually relating to the human being, if that makes
That's
sense.
fair. That's fair. So let me go back a little bit. I remember Marla coming on live often, just being transparent about what what you all were experiencing. Because at that time, DJ was living with you, I believe, at that time. And do you mind sharing with us a little bit about what type of behaviors you were experiencing, which made it obvious that help was necessary and you just didn't have access to the level of care that he needed at that time. So what was happening?
Let me back up and say this, because this is probably something that I probably will never say usually in a situation that we're talking about. Excuse me. Excuse me.
Bless you.
Thank you. About mental health. So everybody, now we had fun, and Adria has Two Wives, One Ex interviewing my daughter about The Voice and the history that exists here. The pain and stress, the anxiety and the sorrow when the Dirty Rotten Scandals thing happened. There's no promotion. There's no me going, hey, I was in a dark room by myself. I watched it alone. Dave was on the road. And I'm saying that to say that this is the perfect time for me to really say to people, please stop. When it comes to our families that are going through these behavioral issues and all these things, it's super, super hard to be indicted for an issue that you did not, neither can you control.
Right.
So the behavior, and I have to say that first because I'm public and because we're public and because we've agreed to share, I think that it's deep because a lot of families who are seeking help don't get help because of what you saw happen on the Dr. Phil show.
Right.
Because you saw the comments and 100,000 people telling me crazy things and keep my legs closed and you should die and I'm gonna kill you on the street. All that happened over over an issue that you're trying to manage with your kids. So how that looks behaviorally is number one. When DJ was growing up, he would say every now and then odd things, yes, and we kind of just thought,
Well,
Like what?
so let me say this. So the first time that we recognized that DJ was in a fractured state, uh, he had already gone through some drug issues, drug use issues that we were dealing with as a family, sort of in what I would call the traditional way that families deal with drug use with their teenagers. The whole thing of getting busted, punishment, that type of thing, and hoping that the punishment is enough to actually kind of sway the behavior.
Sure.
And so what we started to find out, and we later understood that that's a part of self-medicating when it comes to people that deal with mental health issues.
Right.
They know something is wrong. They can't really communicate it well. And
Right.
just like any other thing, let's just take Me Too, for instance, the same type of thing that women deal with when should I say something, should I not say something? It's a guilt, it's a fear, it's all kinds of things that your mind is coming up with at the same time that you're dealing with a situation when you're not in a balanced state that we would say a normal state that we all agree with is the consensus norm. I say that lightly because I mean, for them, for someone who's dealing with a mental health issue, they're in a normal state for themselves, if that makes any sense. When I say consensus norm, I'm saying those of us who aren't diagnosed and seem to be able to cope with everyday life with, as it comes, without any type of medical help or any type of diagnosis. Now, I say all that to say, the first time we understood a break was DJ had come through all of that, all of the drug use, and he was in college. And he was starting to say things that, you know, a normal person, first time going to college, away from home, living by yourself. And at the time, DJ was actually, because he had gone through a drug use issue, we were told that we shouldn't help him at all. And he was putting himself through college, and he was doing a very good job with that. So we were very proud of that, and he was getting straight A's for the first time in his life.
Wow.
Otherwise, this had never happened. We were like, man, who was this guy? He was super proud. He was killing the game. And then he would say little things like, people are watching me when I go out socially, and it makes me feel uncomfortable. I'm like, oh man, well,
what does that mean?
And what I mean by that, he would
I'm
be,
saying that's what we would ask him.
yeah, what does that mean? And he would explain, and I would say, well, and I'm not tooting my own horn, but that is the school where it takes sixth form, and so sort of you're like sort of grandfathered into some almost a legacy that people will always compare you, so people are going to be looking at you in a certain way. Given that level of explanation, deal with it. Well, he deals with that for a little while. Next thing you know, the story would expand a little bit. It's not just the people that are, when I'm walking through the gym, it's specifically what they're saying. And then it's also my family, because my family is from Huntsville. They live there, which is really cool because he was going there on the weekend. He would go hang out with his grandparents and his aunts and uncles. And he would say, my family's talking crazy about me as well. And I was like, man, that really doesn't seem like, some members of the family might say some things that you might have to, just kind of brush off. But I'm sure Nana and Papa, the grandparents, they can't possibly be talking about you. Then suddenly it expanded to not just the people on campus, not just his family, but it was all of Huntsville. And then suddenly we were like,
Well, I said, D, what are they saying? He said, well, I was in the gym, and these girls walked by, and they were talking, and they said, and she said, such and such and such and such. I said, wait.
we were like, yeah, they're talking to each other.
What?
It has nothing to do with you.
I said, so, and he said it again, and I said, so every time you hear him pronounce she, you you're saying that they're talking about you. And I immediately panicked. I called him. He was on the road. Here's the thing. He'd been interacting with D, and he kind of knew this was slipping for a while. Never, this is the story
Didn't
also.
say anything.
He never says anything because he's going to handle it, so I don't have to stress out. Ooh, I got it.
Sure.
So I'm not mad, but I'm saying. So I was like, oh, Dave was out of the country, and I said, oh my God.
So let's back up. So because the DJ thing actually in its formative years and through high school was so stressful for Marla, at that point she had kind of backed up a little bit. So at this point, I was the one actually interfacing with D on a daily basis.
Because he's the young
He's the guy.
boy. He's the boy. So that's
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with gender. It really doesn't have
But
anything.
no, I'm saying you able to talk to him. I mean, I just
No,
think
because another thing that you have to understand, when all of my kids were in school, whether they were in elementary school, high school, sort of the philosophical discussions that we would have
uh-huh.
just to actually stimulate their continuing interest in whatever schoolwork that they were doing is something that I actually enjoyed. I enjoyed that with all the kids. So that was something I also enjoyed with D in this particular situation, because for the first time, he was really doing good in school. And for the first time, we could talk about things other than you're about to get in trouble.
Right.
That makes any sense.
Yeah,
So
Yeah.
we're talking about those things, and then slowly it goes from one thing to the other. And just like we're saying, let me skip forward, and then this is going to make sense. So finally, we bring him home from school. Marla's like, at one point, he's almost through getting to his finals, and I'm like, well, can he just take his finals and we can bring him home after that? Marla's like, bring my son home. Bring my son home.
She knew something.
Sort of a mother's instinct.
Yeah.
Let's talk it up to that. We bring D home. We take him, and he gets his first diagnosis, and then the ball gets rolling from there. Now I say that
He was 23.
once he gets the diagnosis, then we can say, oh, snap. Now let's look at some of the things that he used to say when we would be like, man, that was a little odd that D would say that. And then we just brush it off. Even back when he was very young, we would say, now we can retroactively go back and say,
Oh, now it makes sense.
I wonder if
Right.
these things that we used to think were a little odd mean something else. Then you can also go back at some of the conversations where, for instance, teenagers, angst as a part of a teenager's life is just par for the course. So when you have angst in somebody with that around the same age that's dealing with a mental health issue, you don't really just automatically assume, oh, my child is dealing with a mental health issue.
Right.
You automatically assume just regular teenage and young person's, angst that you have to guide them through. So suddenly, all the things that you were experiencing before take on a whole new light. So when Marla says, one thing was handling one way, again, I tell people all the time. I even tell members of my own family that are dealing with life issues as you get older, give yourself a break. This is the first thing that I'm going to tell you as a family member. Give yourself a break, because the level of guilt, the level of, man, I should have done things better. Shoulda, coulda, woulda actually goes through the roof. And if you don't give yourself a break, you're going to have to deal with the issues anyway. And they're stressful unto themselves.
Yeah.
Adding on your own pressure and guilt that you put on yourself is just added stress that I would say, take it from me, give yourself a break now, because you're going to need a little bit later.
Let me ask you this before we go any further. I'm sure I know the answer, but I just want to know, Marla, did you give yourself a break at first? Did Dave have to tell you to give yourself a break,
Dave
or?
had to give himself a break because I was the one screaming the house is on fire for a very long ass time.
Okay.
And it was Dave who took a longer time. And I'm not mad because we come from two totally different scenarios, meaning that what he's saying to me, it was totally different for me because I'm there every day. And to be fair, his experience growing up and the things he did as a wild and out teenager were very different than mine. So I saw things differently than he did, and he saw himself in the wild side of that, but coming through to be the man he is today. And so, every parent who has a normal child when the child goes off the reservation, you are first in denial. You're not willing to see and accept.
That's fair.
Hey, for sure. You're like, well, no. I mean, well, when I was young, all this happened, and then they get to be 19, 20, 21, and the behavior is, and here's the kicker: the behavior that doesn't fix is not about you. It's understanding that this behavior is so out of over to here that it's what's affecting and destroying them. We are paying the consequence for a 21, 22, 23-year-old person who just is having all these horrible things happen at their own hand because they've got mental health issues that won't allow them to receive your counsel, accept your help, and make the change. So you're going, what is going on? Because you're there for them in that way. All you want, listen, connected parents want the same thing. Valerie wants the same thing for Channing. Adrian wants the same thing for Caden. Marla and Dave want the same thing for Moniz, DJ, and Lexi. We all want the same thing. So the bottom line is you'll sacrifice anything. And
but I got to jump in here. Again, I think the essence of the question implies a certain understanding. And the certain understanding that I'm speaking about is no matter what, whoever's dealing with anything, at the beginning, you are not addressing it as a mental health issue.
Right.
No matter what you're dealing with, you are addressing it wrong. Now, I'm going to just say that at the beginning, no matter how you're dealing with it, Marla's way or Dave's way, you are addressing it the wrong way. Because at the beginning, you are never thinking about addressing it as a...
You're not addressing the actual situation.
Because of that, you may or may not be exacerbating something that's an actual mental health issue.
Yeah.
And I say that to say that we need to get to the point where mental health and our mental wellness, not mental illness. We always deal with mental illness, but we need to start dealing with mental wellness. And that means checking in with your doctor even when there's not an issue. We take our kids to the doctor when they're
preventative
as they grow up to make sure that they don't develop issues.
Yeah.
A lot of these things could be caught early on and dealt with in a more palatable way if you do it earlier and you take small incremental steps into mitigating what could possibly in the long run be a very deep problem that you have to deal with in your family. And so I say all that to say, what we experienced on the Dr. Phil show, by the time we got to the Dr. Phil show, we were desperate. And that's because we had been dealing with things from the wrong perspective without understanding what we were dealing with for way too long. By the time we caught up, and this is the reason why Marla and I have a mental health foundation that's called Loving Beyond Reason. By the time we caught on to what we were dealing with, our son was chronologically an adult.
Yeah.
Which
It's harder to control an adult.
Which creates another whole legal issue when you actually try to actually deal with the problem that you're dealing with.
Yeah.
You realize it's a mental health issue, but you're dealing with another adult. That adult has agency as far as the government is concerned.
Yep.
So
They can make decisions on their own. They can leave when they want to leave.
They can decide they want medication or not.
Yeah.
All of that.
Had we understood what we were dealing with from the beginning, we could say, hey, matter of fact, even when people did say that about our son at the beginning, when he was in nursery school,
elementary,
even before elementary school,
Yeah,
preschool, we were like, oh man, regardless. My whole thing at the time was, and you have to also take all these factors. This is the sad part about it. As people of color, I have no qualms actually questioning when a person who is not my race actually starts saying negative things about my child. I'm sorry.
Sure.
Yeah. It's the society. It's true. Because it's like you're just trying to stereotype another black boy.
That you have to factor in all the time.
Very true.
So what I say is, again, mental wellness is something that you should focus on. But by the time we got to the Dr. Phil show, again, we were desperate. And so, again, like you heard, if you watched the show, you heard me say, and you heard Marla and I talking about it, we were of no illusion that anything on television
exploitative
is entertainment first.
We understood.
Television is entertainment first, and television shows
But
stay on TV.
But not that show. You know what I'm
but not
saying?
that.
Hold
You
on.
you think
Hold
you're not
on.
supposed to even
Hold
go there.
Hold the press.
Wait the hell up.
Hold on.
It was
All
the.
television is
I was
based on
fired up.
ratings. If
It's
the
true.
show,
It
no
is.
matter how helpful it may be, doesn't have good ratings, it's off the air. Because
That's true.
television is paid for by the advertisers.
It's
And
true.
the advertisers are paying for eyes to watch the commercials. They're
Yeah.
not really paying for eyes to watch the programming.
So let me just tell you this: when you need Val to wait, I have found a way.
Dave was like, "What?"
Smell the lipstick.
Dave, he's like,
Marla.
Smell the lipstick for Val.
okay.
No, well, let me say this. It's a
This
couple
is
things.
actually something that you hit a triangle with.
David.
So this is part of a musical instrument
David.
that is not lipstick. So when you put this up and you sound this, I'm not sure what you're talking about. So
David.
you might want to set it up a little bit
David,
better.
this is my prop, okay? This is my little thing.
Oh my God. Let me say this real quick. There's two things you hit upon that really stood out to me. The first thing was, being the parent of the child, you look, let me say it this way. Of course, sometimes you're so close to something you don't see it for what it is. Other people might be able to see it, right? But you don't see it. And I saw a speaker one time say something like, when you go to New York and you're standing right outside of the Empire State Building, you really can't see the building if you're just standing at the front door. You look up, you can't really see it. It takes having to move away from it in order to see, just how massive it is, what it is you're looking at. I remember growing up, one of my cousins, in fact, my cousin and I are a year apart. So even as little girls, my mother saw my cousin and said something to my aunt, like, I think something's going on with Kim. Like maybe, is she doing, she knew what questions to ask because she saw something that my aunt didn't see, or that they didn't want to see, or they just didn't think anything about it because it's their baby, and they're like, oh, she's fine, or whatever. And then I could see how that could be a thing for you guys, especially after he's overcome this drug problem, and then he's doing great in school. He's doing better than he's ever done. So you're like, okay, he's smart, he's talented, he's loving, he's all these things, but then this is happening. Surely it's not a mental health thing. The other thing that stood out to me is the fact that I know from my family in particular, my mother was never one really who believed in therapy or mental health issues, and in her mind that's white folks stuff. White people go to therapy, white people have mental health issues, not necessarily black people. Even though she could identify something wasn't right with my cousin, but not that she had a mental health issue necessarily. She just thought, well, maybe it's a learning disability, maybe it's something like that happening. But in her mind, therapy and medication and that sort of thing was not something that we needed. And that's unfortunate because there's generations upon generations of folks that look like me that did not get the help that they needed. And they would never go and worry about mental wellness until.
Let me say this, Val, and Adrian Marla. Two wives, one ex, and we're gonna. Before I get serious,
You're really only addressing one wife.
I have to actually. No, I'm addressing.
Because I'm
your
You too.
Adrian's wife.
I'm sitting right here.
But what I'm saying is, so yes, you wife, Adrian's wife. That's two. Like I did pretty good at math when I was in school.
You did very well, Dave.
I was concerned that do you guys actually refer to each other as one wife, one ex? Or
When I'm talking to
She does that to
Marla
us.
does it.
She does that to us.
Marla Thomas, MT.
So in the meantime, I'll follow suit. When in Rome, as they say. For two wives and one ex, I'll say this.
Wife and ex.
No, your wife.
Okay.
MT.
He's talking to you too, Marla. Damn it.
You know what? Anyway, I would just say this. See, people, this is one of the things that we have to get over as a society. People of color have dealt with negative things being said about them that weren't true, stereotypes that they have to overcome.
Yeah.
Yep.
So part of overcoming stereotypes is actually not letting the label affect you. Do not
Amen.
accept the label. And
Yeah,
so
amen.
when someone says, "Hey, you're crazy," it's very difficult sometimes for a person of color to say, especially a family member, to say, "Oh, my child is crazy," or "My child does have some issues that they have to deal with." So the first thing we think about is what we've dealt with historically. And so
Yeah.
that's why I say give yourself a break, because if
Right.
you don't accept it, it's understandable, because we have been said, things have been said about us that weren't true for so long, for millennia, that we
Sure.
have to actually overcome and say, "You can kiss my A. I'm
Sure.
gonna show you that that's not true."
You can say,
Okay, I know what I can do.
Marla, will you
Let that man talk.
Anyway, so the issue is that I'm actually saying, and this is a very serious point, that's why I say give yourself a break, because sufficient for the day is the evil thereof. There's a reason why that text exists in the Bible. There's no need for you to stress over things that shouldn't be stressing you,
That's
because sufficient, there's enough stress out there that's for real.
That's
Don't
right.
take on unnecessary stress.
let me
That's very
add,
true.
let me add this statistic for you, for one wife and one ex in the audience. Seriously, 1 in 5 people, this is an actual statistic, is affected by, either diagnosed or undiagnosed, or directly connected to someone who is diagnosed or undiagnosed. 1 in 5.
But 1 in 5 people actually deal with mental illness.
Correct. So, and in the Black community, it's 1 in 3. 1 in 3.
And
we,
there's a reason why, though.
and we are, and to follow up, we are, as a community, as a people, white people are 60% more likely to get diagnosed and treated, compared to less than 1% of us.
Yep.
And the stressor of mental health, the fracturing component of mental health is stress. You're born in the United States of America under a stressful reality.
Yep.
That's a fact. So the
Yep.
bottom line is no, and so and here's what's really interesting about Dave and I. As he's talking, I'm sitting here and I was like, man, that's interesting, because of how I grew up. I was more open to receive some of these things, because I didn't even see my ethnicity until I was 12. Was the first time I had a realization of, wait, they're talking about me. I'm Black. Not that I was trying to be something else, but in other words, I was groomed completely differently. So I was willing to see my kids and go, okay, this is a problem.
Well, and explain that.
Meanwhile, the rest of us were Black out the womb, so
Right. Right.
issues thereof. And so what I mean by that is, like Marla said, it's the stress that we have to deal with as a culture, on top of everything else. So that's why we are more likely to deal with mental health issues, 3 in 5 versus 1 in 5.
Yeah.
And that's a reality. And also
1 in 3 and 1 in 5.
1 in 3 and 1 in 5. And I say that to say, as we were looking for help, the reason why Dr. Phil was a last ditch option for us, when everything inside of me said, don't do it.
That was a conversation in the family.
For the very reason of, I've been in the entertainment industry for so long, I know that what happens on TV is not what you think. TV is meant for ratings. Full stop. That being said, because we were in the position that we were, even the access to help is sort of weighted depending on a lot of factors, and ethnicity is one. We were talking to people and they were like, "Oh, all you have to do is put your son in a full service program, the FSP. My daughter's in the FSP.
The
You
first
know,
episode.
we didn't know what was going on, and she was saying strange things at the dinner table, and over her asparagus, she was trying to cut her
Not
asparagus.
over the asparagus.
And when she went to put the asparagus in with the arugula, then I knew something was wrong
Sir.
because it was and all these things were like, wait, what? Our son has been to the hospital repeatedly. Our son has been dealing with issues. And every time we say, hey, we need to try to get him into an FSP, just like all the advice was, it was always, oh, you're not bad. You're not at the level where an FSP is necessary. Whereas all of our other friends, oh, all of a sudden there's no bed. Even when we were saying, oh, fight. Oh, there's a bed here available right now. Can our son have it? I found the bed. Here's it is. This is a great hospital. This is where you said he should go. Here's the bed. Oh, yes, he's accepted. Come on over. By the time you get there, someone else has the bed.
Explain what's SFP stand for?
Full
Full service program.
Full service provider. Okay. So,
Like Frank, S like snake, and P like provision.
okay.
And so those are where, matter of fact, our son's in an FSP right
Now.
now. And
Okay.
this is where he's living on his own, but if he needs assistance is available.
Medical assistance is part of the program. So in
Medical
other words,
assistance, everything is covered.
right.
Everything that he
Doctors
needs
see
is
him there,
absolutely
his
covered.
medications are administered to him there, but he still has the freedom to go and come
Okay.
individually housed in a mental health medical environment.
Okay. How do they keep tabs? Like, does he? I mean, not tabs, but because I know DJ's in a new facility.
I mean, it basically just the
He's
way
been
that-
there a while now.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
basically, and it's interesting because that's what they talked about earlier when it comes to agency.
Right.
You know,
Right.
The funny thing about it is when you can get them treated correctly,
That's what I was
then
going.
they're willing to be compliant to the things that are to their benefit.
Okay.
It's when they're not that they're on the street. It's when they're not when they're homeless.
You're treated
When they're
right.
not when they're violent. When they're not when they've got these, episodic behaviors that are detrimental to them and others possibly, but most importantly them.
Yeah.
That's when. And so the reality is it's keeping him in a fully connected situation that deals with everything that he's trying to manage on a mental health level.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's go back so that people understand how we got to Dr. Phil. Okay, so again, what behaviors were you seeing in particular that had you exhausted,
Again.
Marlon? You were coming out here, you were talking about needing assistance for him, needing help. What things were you seeing and experiencing?
Well, the Dr. Phil show in particular happened because, in our effort to be sure we got DJ treated, he had at least 2 episodes that ended up in violent encounters inside my house. This the one particular before the Dr. Phil show, we had a physical altercation between DJ, David, and myself, where Dave ended up being, he didn't see DJ's feet coiled up, and he kicked Dave into a wall. Dave literally physically went into the drywall. His foot was inside the wall. And at that point, I grabbed DJ in a headlock.
To be more specific, we also had wooden shutters on the window. And if we didn't have wooden shutters on the window, I would have flown out.
Gone through the window. Oh, Lord. Okay.
So at that point, that was the flashpoint. And once Dave dislodged himself, the fight was on. And then, and it's a very scary thing because you recognize your kids. And I'm going to just say this. I cried for 4 days when Rob and Michelle Reiner were murdered. I did. Because I understood it. And I understood that even though I knew that I was risking that with every change in his behavior, all I could think to myself is, I took this chance because I love you. And had that been me, I would have known exactly what was happening and said, you know what, at the end, for me, I would have still said, this sucks, but I love you. There's no anger in it. What you feel is the suffering of your child. So for us, that was the impetus of the last thing. And then DJ was, once the police were called, he was on the street. As a matter of fact, Alvin and Adrian were also instrumental in helping us house him at that moment in a situation where he was on the street. A young lady that I played tennis with, her mother saw my plea on Facebook because Dee was missing. I went to the authorities and said, "Can I file a missing persons report?" They said no. I said, "This is a picture of my son walking across the street naked. Is this what you would do, Officer so and so?" He said, "He's 27. If he wants to be crazy, he can be." So I went on Facebook.
Okay, let me stop.
Wait, who said this? The police?
That alone is disgusting. And the reason why I say this,
Yeah.
I wish I knew the officer's name
I
because
do.
I'd out him right now because
His name was Officer Hall.
because the issue for me is no one wants to be crazy. It's
Right,
it's
right.
that whole concept is
Yeah.
disgusting to me to begin with. But
And again,
Amen.
all of these things are happening. So once David has been there for some flashpoints, but I'm dealing with this
All the
continuously.
time. Yep.
And so the reality for that was, okay, so now he's gone. So my very good friend, and again, God bless her because her mother does not even have social media, but saw her watching me ask for help finding him. And I'll tell you exactly when it was. It was right after the Vegas shooting happened in Las Vegas with the country music thing.
Yeah.
Vegas Strong is what they call it now. And all I remember thinking to myself is, man, you know, something happened that's these atrocities, and everyone floods to your social media and says, well, these parents had to know. Obviously, this didn't just happen overnight. And I'm thinking, no, it doesn't. But we've been screaming to the mountaintops publicly for 10 years.
Right.
So then there's that. So I was like, okay, well, I mean, now I need the public's help in finding my son.
And no one knows until they're in those shoes. That's the thing what people don't understand. Nobody wants this. This is not what you and Dave, like you guys are just that part I don't understand. I'm like, do you really think
I actually do understand it, and I'll say it this way: before you know, you just don't know. And the reason why I say it that way is I've been guilty of judging other parents when I see wild kids. Just like if you were to go to church, we were raised if you go to church and some kid is wilding out,
Yeah,
the parents need to get that kid together.
Right.
I mean, that's how we were raised.
Right,
So,
right.
At least that's how I was raised.
Right. No, it's true.
So
Old school.
until you know, you don't know. That's why I say give yourself.
And sometimes it doesn't matter to you until it happens to you.
Yeah,
Correct.
that's very true.
Which is why you never see me railing against the public, because I do understand that. But you asked me how we got there to the Dr. Phil show. That's what happened. The mother of the friend that I played tennis with said, "Man, maybe Dr. Phil can help this family," and she reached out to the Dr. Phil show.
Now, here's what we weren't prepared for. We knew of the entertainment aspect of the Dr. Phil show, but what we weren't prepared for is that there will be a facility that the Dr. Phil show is working with that's also,
Part of the
pardon
exploitation.
my French, full of shit. And so at the end of
that's
it,
good, Dave. It's not French though.
oh my God, Jim. And so again, so when I say that, what I mean is you think that a facility who has a reputation that the Dr. Phil show would recommend, that you would think that, okay, my God.
Yeah.
Because that's the perception, Dave. That's what as viewers.
And on top of it, you feel like, okay, the exploitation that I felt on the Dr. Phil show was worth it because now my
I'm getting
son's
the right treatment.
in a facility
And I was happy.
that actually costs
I was happy too.
that costs $20,000 a
A
month
month cash.
for him to be there. And I'm not going to pay $20,000 a month. I can't afford that, no matter what. So at the end of the day, if that's the help that he's getting, and they are guaranteeing to pay for it.
Right.
So they say while you're
years.
on TV, and I'm like, man, are you for real? This is almost too good to be true. But hey, thank God.
Right.
Right.
You know what? You think this is an answer to prayer, not understanding that this is actually an invitation to wear your knees out.
Disaster.
And then for me, honestly, look, I understand, I get it about the entertainment piece of it all, but for me, in my brain, I'm thinking, well, but he's a clinical psychologist.
Right.
You know,
That part.
that's who he is
True.
first. You know, that's who he was before the show. So yes, I've watched the show. I love how he seemed to, keep it real with people and call people. I was like, oh, this is great. I'm so
Right.
happy this is happening.
Yep.
Only to learn what I've learned.
Right.
Well,
It's
let me tell
true.
you. Let me
It's a
tell you.
shocker.
Here's the bigger shock. That what we learned more than we ever knew filming the show.
Yeah. I bet
We
you
didn't even know he hadn't been licensed.
Half the
He
stuff
gave his
we
license
have
up
to-
in
I know.
didn't know that either.
I didn't know that till I saw this show.
Say, you learned at the same time, like, oh, that makes sense.
What?
Oh, that makes
And
sense.
we
Hey,
felt blessed at that point that our son didn't lose his life.
And exactly at that part, when they hired the friends, hiring these people who are not qualified. The one friend from his son that was
That's
the
the
guy
guy
that
who
was.
interfaced with us over and over, Anthony Haskins.
Yes, that name. And I thought that was in the valley. Why are they sending people to this particular place? It doesn't even look safe. And then for the neighbors or for people to recognize that something's going on, that they were always picking up dead bodies. I was
That's
like,
crazy.
what is that? And to be tied,
And when DJ was kicked out from there, he walked from Malibu to downtown on the freeway.
I remember that.
And,
I remember that.
and I'm just saying that even in that duress, which was so stressful,
I remember
I
that phone call.
all I can say is that in it all, everything that what Dave and I have learned this, and we're still learning it, or I'm still accepting it. I'm aware now that all things truly do work together for good, and it doesn't mean that the good is the outcome.
Right.
But I do know that all these things were happening things were being done on a spiritual level that I didn't even realize. Like that as much as there's tragedy with it.
Yeah.
So DJ even going to jail, that's the only
Right.
time we were able to get him medicated properly.
That's true. And knew where he was.
We knew where he
Knew where he was and knew he was getting that shot every month at a minimum
Correct.
because he was in there and yeah,
We
I remember
managed to move him from, he wasn't in the main populace. He was put into a mental health section. So for parents listening in Los Angeles, there is a Court 95 for non-felonious offenders. He had a misdemeanor,
Good.
walking around nude, and you can go and appeal to the court, and the court will place them in a protected place in jail where they are treated while in jail.
all things that we learn on the fly based on our experience. And at the time, and this is how God does it, at the time that our son was facing this issue, Court 95 was brand new, literally brand new.
Oh, wow.
DJ was one of the first people that actually were sent to Court 95. And it's not an automatic thing. We literally, and I say this, at the time, NAMI was a massive resource for us because they would tell us things, and even from not just information, but understanding how the system works and understanding how to navigate the system and the politics of the system.
Yeah.
And they were right there with us every step of the way. And even teaching us classes to where we can understand what your loved one is dealing with and understanding how it gives you sort of an empathy. We took a class one time where they were showing us what people who hear or people who deal with hallucinations, whether they be auditory or visual, have to deal with. And, you had a couple of people standing behind you. You had the person in front of you instructing you, telling you what to draw. Make a straight line horizontal, do this, and just giving you sequential steps that you needed to follow instruction. But you also had eventually people just talking nonstop behind
different
you.
stories, and they were talking.
And after a while, you didn't know who to focus on, and whatever you drew just never ended up being the picture that you were supposed to draw because you had so much input. And so we started to understand, oh, you know what, this is what our child has been dealing with for far longer than we even realized. And so those types of resources are important. First of all, it gives you a certain amount of empathy, especially and I say this all the time. This is the hard truth. when you're dealing with something at this level, it could be your kid, but you can be so exhausted you just can't take it.
Yeah.
Actually can't take it anymore. You know what I mean? And so
No, I was just,
And you're not allowed to feel like that, you know?
NAMI, but he said NAMI, but NAMI is the National Alliance of Mental Illness. I'm just going to give the acronym.
yeah, and so and I say all that to say I say all that to say that's why I keep harping on the fact give yourself a break because
Yeah.
all these feelings are normal, and it's not something that you need to feel guilty about.
Yeah.
Even people who caretakers, family members who deal with, especially adults with mental illness, it's right now we're dealing with elderly parents. We're at the age where our parents get elderly.
Yeah.
There are a lot to deal with, you know, and all these things can impact a life that you can have so much space. There's only 24 hours, and there's so much human energy that you can actually deal with until you build your capacity. It just so happens that Marla and I, based on our life experience, have a lot of capacity.
You know, I remember,
That's not capacity that I would wish for anyone to have to develop.
I know that's right.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I remember one time, this was after DJ had gotten some help. I think he was back in your home, maybe. And Marla, it was just you and DJ, and you were live, and he was explaining what that's like to have all these voices competing with one another in his head. And Marla, I believe you asked him, like, well, you know, when you take medication, why don't you like to take medication? What does it feel like when you're medicated versus when you're not medicated? And I think he was explaining how, you know, he didn't feel as creative when he was medicated. He didn't feel as creative. He felt kind of numb in some ways. He didn't have all the voices going on, but you know, there's that. But then on the other side, when he wasn't medicated, now he's got to compete with all of those voices, like what you just said, Dave, where he's like, sometimes they're arguing with one another and they're not even talking to him. They're arguing with each other in his mind. And it was not until I heard him lay it out like that, that's when I understood what he was going through.
So
I never considered that.
the time that you're referring to is at the time when we had finally thought that we had gotten DJ to the point where, okay, now we're going to get to sort of a new norm. And that is because he was regularly accepting that he needed to take his medication, which is huge. I can't even tell you how big that is. But he was doing it consistently, and he understood his priorities. And what he understood, and I'll go ahead and finish what you started saying, he was saying, yes, I don't feel as creative, but if I don't take the medication, I cannot interact with my family appropriately.
Right.
That was his main thing. He says,
Yeah.
and so no matter what I have to sacrifice, the medicine is worth it. It
Yeah.
wasn't until he was talked off his medicine, which is another whole story, that led down another whole path, which led to us eventually being on Dr. Phil.
Yes. Okay. Now, okay, so with that said, let's talk really quickly about, okay, so this family friend makes these arrangements. You guys decide, okay, you're going to go ahead and you're going to go on to the Dr. Phil show. Tell us about what happens once you arrive at the show.
Well, I'm gonna tell you this: that for me, I kind of knew that it was intended to be a shit show before we got there, because 2 days before we went on to the Dr. Phil show, the producers called and said, "We just realized that your daughter was Monique Slaughter, and would you reach out and ask her to come too?" I said, "Absolutely not." I said, because this is, for us, our focus was to get DJ treatment.
Right.
Right.
That was going to divert and turn to a whole different thing. So all I said they were like, "Well, we're going to reach out." And I said, the only way I'm willing to do that, I said, is if the whole family comes, all 5 of us. Because at that point, I wanted America to see 2 intact parents who've loved all of their children. And we've got these 2 children with 2 different issues and one with none.
Right.
Because that's speaking to somebody else's family that you understand that it's not what you've done or what you haven't done. This is just the unfortunate circumstances you're in.
Right.
And when we got there, Lexi came and they said, I was like, well, where's her chair? We walked us right onto the stage, and they put her in the audience. So right away, I was like, oh. And then, so basically, what you see on the Dr. Phil show is what they intended, which was complete and total effery and exploitation. So that's why
Clearly.
when I sat back, my thing was serious when I said, well, America, that's my family. Because I just felt like, okay, I felt in that moment defeated. I felt like, I had been used, I had been had, but I still felt like Dave said, I understood. I didn't know that it would be like that, but I thought even that humiliation was worth the opportunity for treatment we knew we could not afford.
And in case you didn't get the idea, when you actually, for those that watched the actual documentary, what's that documentary again?
Dirty Rotten Scandal.
Dirty Rotten Scandals. That's how far I put this stuff out of my mind. That's what we tried to communicate. We knew that we were getting exploited, but it was worth the price to pay for the level of help that we thought we were going to get.
That he needed. Absolutely.
What we didn't realize is, for instance, especially once you found the episode where he was actually, the guy was an alcoholic and they were actually just sneaking him alcohol.
That's what I was going to bring that up. That bothered me so bad when they said that.
And so from DJ's perspective, what they would say to us is that, you know what, we need to just keep DJ isolated over here.
We never saw him.
His problem was with you. They had him in a hotel, and I was sneaking because DJ would call me behind his back to just taking some food, but they were trying to make sure that we didn't see DJ at all.
Huh.
So they can rile him up so that he can be turned up.
Well, let me tell you this.
That was a trip when I heard about
in
that.
retrospect, DJ said when they talked with him, they told him they were taking him on to expose his fashion. That's why he was all about this jacket and whatever.
Oh, wow. Because he was,
He was misled. We were misled, and they were misleading everybody, as it turns out.
To make it seem like just really exploiting him even more, like,
yes,
And even then, had the help been real, it would have been worth it.
Right.
Because I had a saying after that, which was, now I understand, because with never disclosing, because it's completely uncool, but people of mega first name importance in entertainment had family there that we actually interacted and talked to because they can afford it. Let's just hypothetically, and this is not true. Right. I mean, it's not a fact, but like the Reiners, they were paying $60,000 a month for their son's care because they can. So in other words, there were some first namers who were taking care of family in that facility that were paying that no problem.
I know. Well, you said Malibu, or even with the location.
And so let me say this too. Insurance does not cover this type of mental health full service care in the states of California and Florida. So they will bring somebody in from Midwest because it's limited. Because most of the time when somebody's homeless, these are the two places where they're generally going to be unhoused.
It's warm.
Wait. So you're saying that they don't pay for it.
We had insurance.
California, Florida won't pay for it, but
they won't use your insurance. Your insurance does not cover full service.
Any other parts of the country they would accept?
From the middle of the country, they'll bring
a lot of places.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
And
wow.
That's what we mean by knowing what you're dealing with.
Yeah.
And that's where NAMI was a big help to us as well.
And what I said is that I now understand that sanity is for the wealthy, not even the rich. Because I don't know anybody in my own that's not true. My close friends, I can say that to care for your own life and then to be able to shell out $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 in addition to how you need to manage all your basics.
Right.
To cover you. And that's why you're on the street. Because I had officers saying, you gotta just let him go. Standing in my house, telling me to just let they be homeless. Multiple times. That's not a one-time thing. So when I would have to call the police, that was their advice.
Okay.
Really
All
sad
right.
we
So
don't have mental hospitals and all that stuff anymore.
Well, Reagan did that.
I know.
Gotta love the Repubs. Anyway, go ahead.
okay, so you guys are on the show. At by the end of that show, the agreement is if DJ is willing to go into treatment, they were going to pay for him to go to this treatment facility. And what was the duration of time he was supposed to be allowed to be there?
Well, even so, here's the thing. Once he got there, because of the laws in California, he still what we knew he had to agree to do is to voluntarily take medication. He was willing to go
Oh,
into
once he
therapy.
was there, it was voluntarily
He's still
too.
an adult.
He's an adult. You still have to
You can't
do it.
make him do
That's
anything.
that's the law in California. So, what Dr. Phil promised, what Anthony Haskins promised us was, I specifically said, how long will because even if he has to go in and out or whatever the case, they said
How long is the
what
opportunity available?
correct
It was
Right.
2 years, right?
2 years.
2 years. Okay.
He was kicked out in 2 weeks the first time and 8 days the second.
Okay, so once he's kicked out, I mean, and you can share as much or as little as you want, but can you give us an idea of like what types of things get you kicked out of a?
He said that what we were told is that DJ said something inappropriate to another resident.
Okay.
Now, I want to stop right there. What you're telling, my feeling was, what you're telling me is my mentally ill son.
That's where I was going. Yeah.
In a mental health area.
Yeah.
And you have no idea, and you can't deal with that.
Yeah. Now
You're not the only one there.
penalize the
Right away.
person that's here for help. You're going to penalize him for having a mental
For
health
needing help.
issue.
He's penalized for needing
There
help.
was no physical violence. There was no assault. There was no physically encroaching on anybody else. It was literally,
That's wild.
and that's what they did. Well, because and then they started talking about how much it cost and all this, and I'm like, okay, but that's what this was.
Right.
And so, yeah, it was all just foolishness. And, and let me just say this. What was it, a year after that happened, Malibu Creative Care burned down in the Woolsey fire to the ground, ashes.
Right.
Um,
That is right. I forgot about that.
Thank God no human life was taken, but the property was completely
burned
destroyed.
down to the ground, ash.
I'm
God
so,
don't like ugly.
That's what I'm saying. David said,
I'm so torn up about it.
It's just think about that though. Out of all the fires that we have in California, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That particular place that is now being exposed or whatever on,
yes,
the Dr. Phil is somehow burned down to the ground.
to the ground.
Won't you do it?
It's just, you have to be careful with God's children. We're all God's children, but I'm just saying, you got a little more sprinkle.
Well,
Yeah, at the end of the day, I mean, you can't do people wrong. And
Right.
well, look, and even with this whole Dr. Phil thing, like I think that, look, and I told Marla this before, like Marla came on here years ago, right after that happened, and talked about that experience, and it wasn't that I ever discounted what your experience was. Don't get me wrong. I knew I felt a way because I know you guys, so I felt a way about it, but it really resonated differently when I hear that this was not a one-off. This isn't like how they did,
Oh, they did my
people I
friend
hear
dirty.
about. This is how they got down, right? And so to learn that from this show and then to see how they were literally setting people up to fail and using them for $1, like basically, yeah, the ratings, that's one thing, but to understand that that I'm sure allegedly, not even allegedly, Dr. Phil was getting a kickback
Oh,
for
yeah.
every person that was being sent there. So it's like, oh my gosh, so everybody's getting exploited, and it was just really sad and sick to see that and to hear that and to learn that. And when I saw that part about the guy who clearly he was an alcoholic, they knew that he was there for intervention, and you left a bottle of liquor in the prison room.
we were given the impression that Dr. Phil was a part owner of Creative Care. I mean that's how deep it was, and so we
Oh,
were,
wow.
and this couldn't be better. So we were like, that's why he can afford to just pay for these things because he actually owns the facility. We
Yeah,
actually thought that he
he's not.
practiced for. It wasn't until till DJ got there, I was like, oh wait, so Dr. Phil never comes in. Okay, whatever. But some doctor comes in. Oh wait, what? The main guy was this other guy. He comes in randomly every now and then
Oh,
as I'm
wow.
dealing with, it seemed more like just luxurious babysitting is what it really seemed like to me after a while. And so then
Not
you're
really
just,
doing the treatment.
yeah, and then you just realize, oh man, not only back to the drawing board, but back to the drawing board in a worse position. And so those are the things that you have to come to grips with. And you know, if it wasn't for God, I put it to you like that. I don't even know how we made it. So
Absolutely. Adria, let me ask you, when you would be around DJ, did you ever notice anything different about DJ?
Well, I've had many chances to be around DJ. I remember one particular time, Dave, you remember this because Marla wasn't with us, and we sent DJ with us on the cruise. Do you remember that? And we were in Florida,
he came with us on the gospel cruise.
Gospel
Yeah.
cruise.
the gospel cruise, and he was with us, and we were outside talking. Oh, I can't remember. We were ordering food. We were doing something before, and he started a conversation, but the conversation he said, which I already knew, but it was like, hmm, you know, I was just like, because I knew what he was saying was not matching up to the reality of his lifestyle.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
and he was talking about, I think, producing with somebody that he was writing with. There was something that it was something related to music. And I knew then. But the thing with DJ and anybody that DJ is such a sweet,
Yeah.
loving, very kind young man. That's how I always have known DJ. And and he's the only boy out of the Thomas family. So it is a thing that I've always, saw him as, this little DJ, this DJ. And
Even today, his nature. He's very
his
sweet.
nature, that's his
So
nature. He's a very sweet, kind person. And I always saw him that way. And even in his demise and in his whatever, he was still that way. He was like, oh, Auntie Adria, he would say this, he would still know it's me, but just the conversation we have, he's like, you need anything? I'm like, oh, no, I'm good, DJ. Thank you. He was always kind and nurturing. So, flip side, I have seen him in a full side. Um, and Dave, you might remember this when we were searching and looking for DJ, and to see the different side when he was fully on, it was very hard.
That's also unfortunately where he was fully episodic
Right.
during Lexi's wedding. Fully,
Oh, really?
Yeah.
fully.
Yeah.
I didn't want him to come to the wedding
Yeah.
because I didn't think I could be it. I
It could
thought
be
it was her day,
right.
but once he's there, there's a certain amount of
management.
management.
Tension. Yeah.
Management.
So I'm not going to be at ease because I'm not sure what he's doing and interacting with other people.
Right.
The first and only time I've been around DJ was when Channing and I came to see you guys in Pittsburgh, Dave. And this was obviously a few years ago. And when I saw him, like he was so excited to see Channing, and then you would have thought he knew me from like forever, right? But he was so sweet, and he hugged on me, and he was just so nice and kind. And you remember this, Dave? Well, I mean,
I do. I thought
because
that was,
you were like,
that
Belle,
was
did you see
all
DJ?
right,
I was like, yeah, I saw him. He was so sweet and everything. So I didn't know at the time that, I don't think at that time I was aware of, that he was having those episodes or what have you. But he was so sweet. And I want to say when we left, Channing did tell me, yeah, I think that he has, some sort of mental health thing, but it didn't seem like he didn't feel dangerous. It wasn't anything like that. He was just loving and sweet and kind. like Adria described him.
Well, most people don't realize, Val, and I'm going to take this opportunity right quick to say this, and I'll remind people. People who are always focusing on what mentally ill people do to hurt other people, 9 times out of 10, they're the ones who are hurt. Featuring them. They're the ones in jeopardy versus the other way around.
Very fair. Very fair.
Are you okay with 2 wives and 1 ex? You need to tip me?
They say no man is an island, but I.
You wish you were, huh?
No.
Next time, you can bring one of your fellow superheroes. There's another wife has a husband that is also.
You know what? Throughout my career, we come where we're invited.
That's right.
Well, you know what? Maybe we can bring Alvin on and teach him how to whisper.
Good luck with that. That's not gonna work. My baby can't whisper. He can't whisper. My poor baby.
I'm
He
sorry.
tries.
I'm sorry for you, Adria. If you had a second tenor, they whisper sweet nothings. I'm sorry. It comes out like a roar.
Hilarious.
I'm like, you think you?
But I would like to take this time actually to put a little book in on the situation, because the whole thing with the DJ situation it felt like over a decade of unimaginable torture. And it wasn't really until, and even right now, there are members on both sides of our families that don't understand the reason why we have to be transparent. And it's because there's no way that you can go through something as potentially devastating. Just know that because the love that you have for your child or for your family, you're going to have to go through the devastation anyway, and you do it in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
But then you also have to deal with families not understanding the impact that it has on you, the impact that it has on others. Because what we started to find is that you find yourself in a position of, because I'm Dave of Take Six, we're the family amongst all our other siblings that we have the privilege. What you start to realize is, for a lot of times, love has been going out from us to other people. And then you realize, oh, wait a minute. When you need that love to come back, what you really get is criticism. What you really get is criticism,
They're drinking.
and little things come out where you can tell that they've been feeling this way for a while. But in receiving mode, that's not something that somebody wants to say. But now that they see when you're down, there's some people who will take the opportunity, even in your own family, who will kick you while you're down.
Because there's something to level the playing field for them, even though that's not how you feel. But let me just say, yeah, go ahead.
And so what I say is, that's why I say give yourself a break, because the stabs will come in the most unlikely places where you least expect it.
Right.
So that's the first thing. Give yourself a break. But what I will say is, the reason why we have to be transparent is because if there's any way we can shorten that 13 plus years of living hell that we went through for someone else, then so be it. Then that gives us a sense of purpose. That allows you to transform your pain into purpose. And that is necessary as a growth step. That's why I say, give yourself a break. Allow time to transform your pain into purpose. And then walk in that purpose unabashedly. So when I say things that I've been through, it doesn't really matter whether if you're in my family, if you're not in my family, whether you agree, whether you don't agree. I know what I'm talking about. You don't. And I don't say that with any level of conceit. I say that you should thank God that you don't know what I'm talking about, that you know what you're talking about. And if you want to, if you find yourself in the same position that I was in, you would do good to listen. I can't force you to listen, but I will be glad to share my story with you, so that if there's anything in there that you can relate to, take from that and hope it blesses you.
And I will add this, and this is a message straight to other parents who are going to hear this. The message that I directly have that piggybacks on what Dave said, I finally had to tell the family, our families. I said, I know you might mean well in your trying to help us deal with this. I said, but until you're willing to educate yourself about what the actual real problem is, as diagnosed by the doctors, I said, you you can't help it.
Yeah.
Because, in other words, the help that you're going to give, it comes without the premise or the education or the understanding of what help is needed. You don't know. And so, and I said, and you're the voices that I listen to most. I don't hear the public is they're spectators. Who I expect to be in our corner are the people who know us most. Close friends. I mean, close friends and family. Because that's those are the people in a prize fight that are in your corner when you get your head knocked in, you come over and you need smelling salt and an eye patch.
Right.
That's who's supposed to be they've been training with you for a lifetime.
Yeah.
So if you're saying things that are distracting me and not actually willing to actually administer what I need in the fight, then you're just a distraction. The only one that I hear, and every time I turn to hear you talk ridiculousness that's not helping me in the fight, I'm the one getting punched because I'm the only one fighting.
I got two quick questions. One, so Mimi has been a guest over here with Marla, and I'm wondering because of her professional background, did she ever identify anything
Oh yeah.
Absolutely, early on. When they
early on?
was
But
the
you guys were
elementary school. No. You know, even in Monisa's case, we started therapy when she was in the 5th grade. DJ, DJ, that we actually took that advice.
So most
okay.
people don't realize this, and yes, Mimi has been a invaluable resource to us when it comes to navigating the mental health space from a medical perspective, navigating any medical need that our family needs.
It's a blessing.
Mimi is a blessing. She's an invaluable resource. She helps us as we
Absolutely.
take care of Marla's dad. I mean, Marla's mom. We couldn't do it without Marla's mom. Without Mimi.
Sure.
So
No, I get
I
it.
say all that to say, but I will also say this: in the mental health space, the science itself is still new, relative to other sciences and other medical practices. It's still relatively new. The cutting edge science and cures that are potentially out there, they're brand new. So when something is brand new, insurance doesn't pay. And when insurance doesn't pay, one scientist might say, this is what I think. Another scientist might say, oh, this is what I found. Another doctor might say this. It takes a minute for it to be conclusive that this is what it is and this is how you treat it. Because unlike other medical issues that you might have, mental health, you might have a diagnosis. Marla and I might have the same diagnosis, but our bodies might actually
Respond
react
differently.
to medicine.
That's very true.
So where you can go to the doctor and say, oh, I broke my arm, and the doctor knows exactly what to do, and you leave the doctor not only knowing that your arm is better, but you feel a little bit better too. When you deal with mental health, you can start taking them. The doctor says, this is what I prescribe for you. This is what it should be. Might not work.
The other question was going to be when Lexi.
Medication, the amount of medication has to be titrated, and the type of medication has to be titrated as well. So it takes patience.
So the other question was going to be when Lexi was on here, she talked about in passing how, each year for your birthday, you could, have one wish and you could use that to get, someone out of trouble, or you could do something for yourself or someone else. And she mentioned that there was a time when she used her wish, if you will, to get DJ out of trouble. So I wanted to ask, did the girls ever say that we see something going on with DJ?
Well, I'll say this: Lexi and DJ's relationship is very special from the time that they were very, very little. And I'll just let that. I mean, in other words, it's like any. I think that, and to me, that's kind of like any family. Like if you have multiple children, sometimes, are closer either in age or in sexual, in your sexual identity, like sisters
Gender.
are closer, or your gender.
Mm-hmm.
Sisters are closer. I was closer with my brothers. David is one of four boys, and then one sister. But all the boys, for different reasons, at least two or three of them glommed together. But they didn't have the same type of kinship with their sisters. Just on GP, not because there's, so DJ and Lexi are 4 years apart. Moniece and DJ are 2.5, and Moniece and Lexi are almost 7.
Okay.
So the kinship at a natural level really did always exist on a very special level between Lexi and DJ in particular. And then Moniece and Lexi in particular. Moniece and DJ were kind of like fire and ice. They were close together, but like I said, that's the schematic of
Sure.
relationship with the kids and the family.
Uh, uh, Here's how I'll address that question. Certain mental health issues um, show themselves at a certain age. Other issues actually show themselves a little bit earlier. In DJ's case, through the formative years, it seems like that's the kind of the question, kind of that you're asking. DJ didn't have the symptoms that that led us to understand that he was dealing with any of the issues that he's dealing with. And
Gotcha.
so during the formative years, we were mitigating issues from our oldest child, and that's where it seemed like the issues were pointing, and then suddenly, we get out of the blue, something else pops up, and so and then you have to realize, and we can go back and relitigate all those things and go through all those things at another time. It's another hell of a show. We can actually fill at least 10 shows with the experiences that we've had in this area. But I would say that, not everything shows up at the same time. So, no, the girls weren't really saying those things as they were growing up about DJ.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, Adria, anything you want to add or say before I don't want to keep everybody too much longer. Adria, what are
Well,
your
yeah, I do. What I do want to say, I want to give Dave and Marla their flowers. Just being a person that has been, have a little bit of insight, who's been there, who've witnessed it behind closed doors and everything there. I just want to say you guys are amazing parents. Um, you do it with class. Um, it is the toughest thing, and it's hard when you love two people as much as Alvin and I love you guys. It's hard for us. You want to fix it for you. We can't fix it for you. But what we can do is support you and be there for you genuinely and pray for you and continue to be friends and show up the way that we do.
And you guys have done that.
And I just want to say, I honestly, it is just to see and know where you guys and what you privately deal with. My hat is off to you guys. My hat is off to you, Marla, because you have worn so many different hats. I know our husbands' careers blesses our family that takes them away. But when they're away, you are the main person there handling and holding down everything. And not that's not just a slight at you, Dave, because your career is your career. And I just want to say that it takes a strong woman and a strong man to deal with you guys deal with. Transparency, untransparency, on screen, off screen, behind closed doors, whatever it is. I commend both of you. You are doing an amazing job in navigating all of this. I know you, Marla, MT. I know you, Dave Thomas, DT. And that is sincerely from the bottom of my heart. I love you guys. I'm very
Well,
proud of you.
we love y'all back, and we tell people all the time. I understand now why when Jesus was teaching, they said, "Hey, Jesus, your family's outside." And Jesus says, "Well, who actually is my family?" So we get it. We get it.
Okay, Sister Adria.
And,
Brother Alvin.
and you really understand when it hits the fan who your family and friends really are. And relationships are the main thing in life. And that's why Marla and I always talk about things from a relational perspective,
Right.
because relationship is all you really actually have. At the end of the day, you can't take stuff to the grave. You can't even take your relationships to the grave.
I
But
can't
it's the
sell
re-
my father.
but at the end of the day, it's the relationships that matter.
That's true.
Those are things that give meaning to life.
Yeah.
Not the things, not how much money, nothing else gives meaning, but relationships do.
Yeah, and look, some folks, I mean, we don't get to choose these biological family members in our lives. We're born into those situations, but
Very
when you
true.
can choose people as your friends who become your family, there's nothing more important than that. Nothing more special, in fact. So, that's awesome. What do you two want to say before you get out of here, Marla and Dave?
See something, say something, do something. I want to break the stigma around mental health, and I want to always be sure that you hear from my lips and my voice to your ears. That does not mean that I am asking, encouraging anyone to take your issues onto social media just because you see me here. That means I want you to connect with the people in your life, and because too many of us are suffering silently inside the problem in our homes. And silent suffering does not alleviate the suffering part. The silence ensures you will never get help.
Wow. Wow. Dave?
Outside of everything that I co-signed what Marla just said, I first want to give a shout out to Marla. Number one, kind of echoing what Adria said. As an entertainer on the road, nothing that we do, I say all the time, there's no level of impotence that could come close to the fact that when you know that something is going down at home
And you got a good
and
influence.
you're on the other side of the world. I mean, literally, you are powerless to do anything. If it wasn't for my family, if it wasn't for Marla, and for those of us on the road, if it wasn't for our wives that are there holding it down, I mean, our lives wouldn't be the same. And so
Absolutely.
I give a shout out to her, but I also say this: um, at the end of the day, you won't know until you know, and at the final analysis, all things do work together for the good for those that are called, and you will never know why you have to go through the trouble that you went through. But once you get to the other side, you can also not only thank God that He brought you through, but now you can help somebody else make it over as well. So whatever you're going through, there's nothing that I can say that can mitigate or take away some of the pain of in the moment. But what I can say is, hang in there. It not only gets better, but it becomes something that you can turn into purpose. And so that's what I pray for anybody in that same situation.
Thank you. So tell us a little bit about the foundation. What does the foundation do, and how can people contribute, help? Tell
So
us what
our
you want people to
foundation is
do.
called Loving Beyond Reason. You can find us on Instagram. You can also go to lovingbeyondreason.org. To be honest, our foundation, unfortunately, through issues that aren't really important to discuss, a while ago, 3 years ago, was kind of sidelined. So we're just now being able to get our focus back, but the foundation still exists. And the goal of the foundation was to help families like ours deal with adult children who are going through mental health issues, because we found that this is the most difficult space to navigate. And so it's education, it's information. We are donation based only foundation. In other words, this is what we do because what we're hoping to do, David and I's ultimate mission, is to make Loving Beyond Reason transition homes. My mom has put together a complete program that will help us to be able to truly bring the type of care, a connected care, to helping. It's like a step down. And I have to say this right now, there's an SCC program that is doing very well in Los Angeles area, and from the Department of Mental Health from the County of LA, and it's called SCC, which is Safe Connected Care, and it's literally taking taking people off the street, excuse me, and they've done 900 to the point where it's not a revolving door anymore. You're hospitalized as long as you need to stabilize and get help, and then they personally connect and personally move you into housing. And there's a huge, like 86%, some crazy rate of people who never come back onto the street and never come back into the system.
Wow.
It's worth it. And they are, and you can look that up. And I have a little snippet of it, but I'm going to get more into that because shout out to Latina Jackson, who's been just an anchor in our lives, and she's one of the main people who works in the executive level for the Department of Mental Health. So I got to say that. And so if there's a family who needs anything, I personally deal with anyone. I just helped somebody recently who calls. I can even direct you to anything. It's a tough space. It's not a space where there's no glam to this. And I can lie to you and tell you, oh yeah, no problem, we'll just do this and do. That's not true, especially as a minority.
And just real quick, because we brought up your mom, who we refer to as Mimi. She was a psychiatric nurse for many
My
years.
mom was a psychiatric nurse as her background, but as well, she ended up being the chief executive nurse for the Southern California VA system. Southern California VA, the main campus, but she had the other one. She would travel up and down the coast, and so she was the one who did all the nurse management for the Veterans Hospital.
Okay, and you said she's put together a program for you guys, for the foundation,
Correct.
to do
For
transition.
for the homes. So when
That'd
we
be
can
awesome.
finally get to that, and so right now we just need to stabilize our lives. All of us.
Okay, gotcha.
Speaking of mental health,
Okay. Well, thank you, Dave, for coming to Two Wives, One X, and having this vulnerable, transparent conversation. Nothing like we're still live. I mean, you know what I'm saying? We're still,
no man.
don't get carried away. I mean, I'm just
Yes,
saying.
you do have to say that. You do.
Yeah, there's no. Come on. honey.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome, sweetie.
Ooh, okay.
Oh my gosh, Dave.
Here they go. Okay.
Let me just tell you something. Next time that we go on the road, you are not going to be in the room next to us. I don't care.
I knew you was going to say that.
Every time
You
we
wanna be in the room next to them?
get on the ship, I'm like, what's your cabin number? And if it's
I'll see you next week.
I'm like this. Oh hell no! You're not. Then I like to go on the balcony and like
She
lean.
loves, you know what, guys, don't even play. She loves to be next to me.
I do.
I wouldn't want to. I mean, look, it ain't.
She loves it.
I
You know,
can't
like,
imagine.
Let's go.
But Adria, do you really want to be in the room next to them?
Well, yeah.
I just feel like it would be loud and anyway.
Listen, Val. Here's what I'm gonna tell you. She is truly the cruise director. You think I'm joking? I'm not.
No. I get it. You know, I lived and worked on cruise ships for 3 years. You
I
know
know.
that, right?
And Adria with the group though, I feel like she's one step away from. Okay, guys. Okay, so welcome aboard. Here's your walkie-talkie. Here's your walkie-talkie. Like I feel like she's like
The love boat.
and here's the other thing. I'm like super like that's like my do nothing time. Adria is like dressed up for every dinner, and she's got a flowing gown on.
Isn't she supposed to?
I do the theme.
And I'm like coming to dinner in my pickleball clothes.
But
You're supposed to be
that's
dressed
how
for
we
dinner.
I know. You do you, boo.
But listen, we have an artist dining room, so we can go when we want. We don't have to dress up if we don't want to. I'm just
Okay, but you're there. You should do the things.
I know. Just have fun.
I'm gonna, David. You
She
know,
does sometimes. She does do the theme sometimes.
I need a Marla Thomas cardboard cutout, because next time when she saves the seat, but I'm still asleep in our cabin, she can put the cardboard cutout.
I am. I'm going to do that. Put some.
You know what? It sounds like a Two Wives and One X problem. to me.
Right. It was like, I'm gonna get one of those things that they have with the graduations, the face. thing. That's what I'm gonna get.
Was there a reason?
Thing.
Is that now that we have you stuck here,
Graduations, they have the little fans that hold up. It's the face of the person that
I'm
they're
actually
celebrating.
not stuck
Oh,
here.
now that you're stuck here, is there a reason? Is there any usage that you can find for Adrian and I to like be part of like the Take Six performance? Like,
Oh no.
no,
I would say no.
David, you used to placate
You
me.
guys on the same page with that.
You
No.
used to pretend.
I used to pretend and placate, but we're approaching 60.
So now you don't play anymore. So we're out.
On certain things,
Y'all don't act like it.
I play on certain things with certain issues, but it's not worth it because you got to come back and fix it anyway after you play. So
Do you want to tell Adria and Val that you wrote a love song for your girlfriend before me, and then you never really wrote anything for me, but you tried to play that song and act like it was for me?
I thought
you see how she's talking now?
We get here.
Okay, you take it or leave it. You want the damn song or not? That's what ends up happening.
David, no one knows this side of you but me. What are you doing? You're saying take it or leave it. What?
Speaking of songs, do we have ours yet, Dave?
I have the full concept, and I just have to put it down. Yes,
Okay.
I'm down there thinking about it, and I'm
Now I have to give
ready
him
to
credit.
go.
He did say to me the other day he wanted to do some reconnaissance, and Val, he did listen to all of V. Lenore's snippets and bops. He did that. He's like,
What'd you think, Dave? Do you approve?
I actually would like to know what orifice of your body holds the magic mic. When the mic disappears, comes
See,
back
Marla. See.
like
see,
David Blaine.
Marla, where did you?
Blaine. Where'd you put the mic, David Blaine? No, David Blaine. I'm not sure.
Look, don't worry about my mic. Worry about my
Talk about today. And that's why I think this color is perfect for the summer lineup. Wait, what just happened? Wow, I guess the ponytail is gone. About today.
Yeah. Don't worry about my mic. Worry about my ponytail.
why are we all kind of like Cameron Diaz or some kind of, oh my God. Like,
Oh my God. I'm like, oh my God.
Wait, but it's the same. It's like one person talking for every one of
Yeah,
you guys.
I know. We don't have the same voice. Like we
listen,
triplets.
native tribe, get back onto the AI and make us different.
I think if you get the deluxe package of the AI, you can get like 3 separate voices.
Not the deluxe package.
That's what I heard. I don't
Go
know.
to the free package, Joe. Do not do the free package. You need the deluxe.
The freemium package doesn't actually work as well as what they say. I don't know.
Oh, well.
Dave, we hope that you had fun. We
Thank
always
you for coming, Dave.
Yes, thanks for coming, Dave.
Well, this is not really a fun
I
subject
know,
matter.
but bring it
I
back.
know.
Bring me back when we can tell some jokes or anything like that.
You have
But
jokes?
I have
What
way
would be
more.
what would be a
Not
subject?
tonight, not
What would be
tonight.
a subject that you actually would love to
Okay.
interact with us that's not so serious with two eyes?
Yeah, Dave.
You tell me. I'm
No,
a,
you tell
I'm,
us. You
I'm
tell
a,
us
ve-
what
I'm a
that is.
veteran podcaster, so I can.
Oh, that's true. You are.
do what I
Would you
will.
like to come in and talk about? We're going to talk about menopause. You want to weigh in?
Well, this is the little known secret. Men actually have to deal with menopause just like women.
David thinks
Because
he's a gynecologist.
watch.
Y'all deal with something, but
I
man,
have to know as much. I could probably I'm an amateur gynecologist as it is. I will say that.
did you hear that, Adrian?
You put it on your path. Yeah, I think you should.
But what I will say is
Uh,
we're the ones who also have to get up at 3:30 in the morning and stay up till 7 a.m. It happens to us too.
Okay.
If you get hot and kick the covers off of the entire bed, the covers go off for me too. So hey, I gotta figure out how to mitigate some of this stuff myself. So
I got you.
it
I got you.
drives me to research. So hey,
Now, Dave, there is going to be, I guess, a series of shows where Adria and Marla are going to find me a man. Okay, so do you and Alvin need to come on here for that?
I don't know anything
No.
about you, girl.
They said no.
Maybe
Maybe they can talk to
I'm going to tell you something, Val.
talk to men.
Little Val, listen to us. We are doing reconnaissance on you every time we get together, which is locked. So what I'm saying is they don't have any information. They would have to read my notes, which aren't his notes. Now, here's what I will tell you this.
Dave's.
I will consult Dave because I will have to go through Dave's mental Rolodex because we have done this before because we did have the mad match on our own show.
Oh,
And
that's
I'll
right.
roll the deck,
That's
and I'll
right.
say, Dave, what do you think about so and so? And he'll either go, "No, I don't." Well, you know what? That's actually pretty good. That's a good idea.
He'll be tall, right?
What do you think about? What do you think about? What do you think about Val and Smokey Norfolk?
I knew you was gonna say that. I already knew. I knew you was gonna say
No,
that.
no, no. I think Smokey is cute. Like I want him to sit on my hip, and I'll walk around and
Why did
carry
you
him
start
around
this, Marla? Why
on
did
my
you
hip.
start this again?
Oh,
Like,
so
come on,
you want a
Smokey.
smoky pet? That's what you're kind of basically saying. You want a pocket smoky? I got it.
He's
They
so
said- I think it's
cute. He's so
7-Eleven, by the way. Get
cute.
a pocket smoky at 7-Eleven.
So
He's
I'll run some of my personal choices by Dave.
okay.
And Dave, here's what's crazy. Wouldn't you say
Not that I'm dogging Smokey. Hey,
No.
Smoke.
Hey, Smokey.
I'm saying? I think that
He's adorbs.
we're honest. I think, and Adrian, you can attest to this. I would probably say 80% of everybody in our sphere, maybe 90, are single.
Wow. Really?
I'm thinking about think about the married couples that we really truly know and are friends and interact with. There's one. Who else?
Adria, what are you thinking?
She's talking about her close friend, like your close.
No, I'm
circle.
saying like no, the people.
That's
Yeah,
true.
people are, like most of the people that are around me are single,
Really?
for real, men and women.
I think well,
Two of your friends, you just
I feel like we have a good mix. But I will say this that in the climate these days, just because you're married today doesn't mean like you might not become one of our single friends tomorrow. So,
Jesus, I know that's right.
I hate to say it that way, but
Unfortunately, you
Yeah.
not lying. I get it. I get it.
which means
All
if there's
right.
a long field out there. Val, we got your back, girl. Let's
There's-
let Adrian and I do what we
but,
do.
Val, here's what I would say. Here's the first tip that I would give you. The packaging is not always the first place to look.
It never is.
You're a fan of the engine.
What does that mean, Dave? Spell that out. Women
It
are going to
means,
say, what
you
does
know,
they mean by that?
What it looks like on the outside is not always what you get on the inside.
Oh, I agree with that.
I used to tell people all the time, the whole thing about, and I'm not advocating sex before marriage,
Right.
but I would hate to wait my entire life to get into a relationship with someone.
Jesus is watching us.
And I held everything back, did everything right. And it's like, for real, Lord?
Why are you looking like that, Dave? For
For
real?
real, Lord?
I waited for this.
For the rest of my life, Jesus? Really?
Oh my
So,
goodness.
I'm not saying
But
that, I'm not telling you what to do, but I
Look.
would hate to be in a position where I went for all the outside packaging and I had no idea what was happening under the hood before things really got going for the next 75 years. My God, Jim.
No, I'm with you totally, totally. But I don't want any more small packages
That doesn't
all.
mean about sex.
I'm not talking about sex either. I'm just saying I want a big
Marla and I are
package.
big proponents of until you're married, you're not married. Don't be faking married and having all the marriage problems when you're boyfriend and girlfriend. What the heck?
That's right.
I can't deal with that at all. It's like,
understand that.
I'm so stressed out. My boyfriend is like, what? You're this stressed out and you're not even
Every
married?
time Dave,
Get the hell out of my
every
face.
time
Matter of fact, if I had a girlfriend and it was that much trouble, why is it my girlfriend?
Right.
Right.
Because it definitely ain't gonna make it to marriage.
yeah.
That's right.
When you found out, bye.
And
That's
and you can leave this one tip. What is you'll say it all the time. What is the most attractive thing that you find as a man in a woman?
Oh, for me, it's confidence. Especially,
Can you fake confidence?
no, you can't, because especially with what I do for a living, what Adria's husband does for a living, if I had a wife that needed to be up under me all the time, the reality is that I would be divorced because physically, you can't be up under me all the time, and that personality tends to always going to question, what am I doing, who am I with, blah blah blah. It's going to always look questionable. It's going to be nothing but trouble. I think everyone needs to have confidence And that is very attractive, and it's more attractive than men let on than it is attractive to them. And I'll tell you this, because most men need a subtle sign that I should approach. It's not until we get more mature that we're confident in ourselves to approach. When we're young, we're either over the top and we're just being mannish and approaching out of just showing our boys that we can do it, or we're subtly trying to look for that little hint that, hey, if you ask me, I will say yes. So,
And what is that? Say yes to what?
to whatever the proposal might be
Oh, well,
on any given moment.
I'm so glad you got saved. What was that?
Me too.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's a little tip into
All right.
Okay.
into.
All right.
And I always say that because we all talk amongst each other. Women are obviously. This matter of fact, I'm going to compliment you, Dave. Your word count tonight is impressive.
Yeah, I was that.
Did you save all your words, sweetie? Did you save them?
He saved them up just for the show tonight.
I
Did you
mean,
save 'em
Marla
all
didn't
day?
say that much.
Mm.
No.
There goes my words. There goes my motivation for words.
Hilarious.
We'll have Dave back on when we start because we will let Adrian and I will decide.
Again, I'll give you a couple of tips though, but okay.
No, we'll let
Yes.
we'll let
We
Dave
need a certain height.
Val,
We need a certain height, and I don't mind if they live out of town. Like I
Now,
like
listen to
a
this.
good old
Now, listen
long
to this.
distance relationship.
In the
Okay.
Bible, some of the best, most iconic marriages were arranged.
Oh, I'm here for
And the
it.
reason why sometimes I think arranged marriages might actually be better.
We know what you need, girl.
Because people on the outside, you know what you want people to think.
Yeah.
That's how our humanity operates. We want you to think certain things about ourselves. So we have this image of ourselves, but I guarantee you, if you ask anybody else, you're going to get a little bit more enlightenment as to that image of yourself. And you can actually be educated by getting the opinions of others sometimes.
and Adrian.
I'm not mad at it. Look, I don't trust me, so I'm fine with them choosing. I'm fine. I obviously don't know what the hell I'm doing, so there is that. Okay. So anyway, what were you about to say,
I
Marla?
just said that we'll both be your matrons of honor, and you will accept the walkie-talkie she gives you at the wedding, and you will respond at the altar. Val, say I do.
And so you're
Val,
Yeah.
it's time for you to kiss the groom. Val, okay. Yeah. Lean over. No.
Oh my God.
Val, this is Adrian. Fix your garter.
Adrian, what is she really trying to say about you?
I don't.
I told you, she's
That I take her.
we're Costco wholesale.
I'm very confident, as you can see.
Look, we're getting out of here, y'all. Thank you so much for joining us and our special guest, Mr. Dave Thomas. Yes. Yay. All right.
Actually, I was a little offended every time you say my name because that's what I'm used to as I walk the street.
You guys follow Dave. Dave has a lot of very fun family things. We're dedicating ourselves, audience, to getting to know Dave personally better because you know him outside of Take Six. So he's ready to he's coming out. I'm coming out.
Look, I love what you guys are doing on social media with what is it?
Madhouse.
Which one is it? Madhouse. I love seeing you guys do the 2 lies, 1 truth, or 2 truths, 1 lie rather.
Yeah.
And just the little games you guys are playing. I love seeing Dave kill seafood. All of the things. Okay. Yeah, the birds in the backyard, all of the things that go on over there. It's been very
You don't
interesting.
realize that you see the bird on the gram, but the bird's in the backyard now. I just found the bird like yesterday. Like, wait, I thought
No,
you
they're
guys.
talking about when the birds were flying down, you were golfing, and they were alive at the time. The bird died. Monique and I.
Oh, you didn't know that the bird.
Oh, I didn't know a bird died.
They gave the bird a funeral and left it in the backyard. I just found it the other day.
I told you I put the stones out there so it could mark the grave. What is wrong with you? It's like those are headstones. Those are bird stones. Anyway, Follow
I
Dave.
just learned the other day.
Dave
I just
takes
look.
6. Dave
Would you?
takes 6. You follow him separately. I want
Dave takes 6.
matter of fact, David is gonna the next person to help you get to 1,000 new followers. At that 1,000 mark, you're gonna send them a signed photo of me. No, I'm just kidding. Of yourself.
Not of you. Whatever.
So,
Of
you know
you.
I forgot the name of those clocks, but every now and then they would go doo doo, and it would be like,
Well,
all I can say
yeah.
is,
Oh my God. Anyway, all right, you
Right.
guys, we're out of here. We'll see
Out.
you all later. See you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Lenore.